Are you tired of your account just underperforming, just being terrible? Everyone on your friends list is better than you, everyone's got better builds, all your friends are laughing at you, if you have any.
We all promise to halt you on your bus.
But they're all telling you, oh, my builds are so much better than yours, why are your characters so bad? And you can't 36-star Abyss. If that even sounds similar to you, please stick around until the end of the video and I will make your account great again.
Ice cream yummy. Ice cream good.
A lot of you gambling addicted freaks will just get in the game and get artifacts and think that is the only and best way to get your characters to be as strong as possible, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Artifacts are extremely RNG and it is as useful as just leaving your res in there forever, because there is chances that a character could not get better for ages because of artifacts, when you could have just farmed something else and made them a lot more stronger, a lot more quickly. And I'm not saying never farm artifacts again. Are you thick? I'm not saying artifacts aren't important at all, but let me explain myself. If you're wondering why I'm using paint to demonstrate this, it is because this is truly zero budget, family friendly content. So you can farm for your stupid little flower, right? And that may give you double crit. Oh my god, that may give you double crit, but the chances of you even getting double crit in the first place and getting a good plus 20 roll, it's really not worth it, especially when you can farm other things I can't mention right now. I've been edging you for way too long, so let me just get into what's really important. So weapon level matters more than you think. Getting a level 70 weapon to 90 will give you value than a slightly better artifact, and that is even like a decent upgraded artifact won't give you more damage compared to just making this like pretty small jump to level 90. Now resin is now capped at 200, right? You can definitely get enough to get a character's weapon from level 70 to 90, unless you're like super unlucky, I guess. But it should be enough, or 2 days and you can get the weapon level to 90. Now to level up weapons, you need to kill like enemies, right? And when you kill enemies, you can do this an infinite amount. Not in your own world for most of them, but there are so many enemies for like specific materials that you can probably get all the materials you need in like 1 or 2 worlds. For some enemies like the specters and like the samurai guys, it will take a lot more, and I really feel bad for you if you have to deal with them. But if you don't, then you can easily farm these materials to level up your weapon. Plus they're a lot more resin efficient than artifacts. So getting your weapon level up is extremely important, and it will help you tremendously compared to getting a slightly better artifact piece. Now over here we have a demonstration of a very beautiful Genshin character. I think it looks a lot like Navia. So we have Navia over here at level 1 out of 90, right? Obviously a lot of people won't have their DPS at level 1, but let's give it a more realistic example of 70 out of 90 again. Let's do that again. Now having your character level and ascension high is really much more important than like anything else, as your character level also influences your talent level, which I'll get over in a sec. But leveling up a character's level is more important in some characters than others, especially with characters that rely on reactions, like mostly animal units and dendro units. You really want to get them to 90. With like other units, it is okay to leave them at level 80 out of 90. Not 80 out of, oh my god, not 80 out of 80, because no, what would you ever want to do that? We do not do that. We don't leave characters at 80 out of 80. 80 out of 90 is the most acceptable one, because getting a character to 90 out of 90 can be difficult, but it is definitely worth it in some cases. Now, when your character is ascending, every single time they ascend, you have these talents. Obviously, they can level up. So you've got your normal attack. Now, if your talents look anything like this, where the numbers are as low as 3, 2, or 1, you're cooked, my guy. If you don't know what talents to level up for a character, because you don't want to level up all of them in most cases, because in most cases a character will only use either 2, but sometimes, like especially now characters, they do tend to use more. But what you can do is there is a button up here, usually, well not usually, there always is a button here, where it says something like check like more important stuff. It's above here, you'll see it, no problem. And this will tell you what most players are leveling up first, and that is really a good guide to go off of. But I still would recommend sometimes going on the internet and looking it up there instead. where it will tell you like what to do for what teams or like what playstyle you want, and you will level up the talents corresponding to that. Pretty self-explanatory. But leveling up talents is extremely important as they can give you so much damage percentage per level, where to the point it's so much better than leveling up artifacts. But talents also obviously require, you have your books, which you obviously, you know, whatever. The other materials are books, and you've got your weekly materials. So this is going to be my weekly material right here. So every week you can farm 3 different bosses at a halved price of resin, but that doesn't mean that you can only farm 3 bosses in total. You can farm as much bosses as you like until obviously there's no left, because you can only farm each boss once per week. So weekly bosses can be a bit like RNG. Is that even a word? But you do have to kind of get lucky to get good drops on them. But that is why you can farm other bosses to get these things called dream solvents. I'm doing a horrible drawing of them, but they look something like this. I might flash an image on screen if I feel like it. But these dream solvents allow you to convert materials from the same boss, because every boss has 3 different materials, and dream solvents allow you to basically convert material 1 into material 2 with like the cost of like the dust, which you can get from like star glitter, which is really whatever. And when you convert these materials, and that is just like a easier way of getting them. So let's discuss talents more in depth, right? The talent screen looks something like this, where you can level up a talent, and usually you have a skill here, which let's just give the number 210%, and we can just look useless shit down here. So usually when you level up a talent, it gives you around like 10 to, I'd say like 35% like of damage of that skill, which is huge considering all you're doing for this is farming like books for the most part, and then obviously you got your boss materials. So the majority of this is just going to be books, boss materials, and killing enemy materials, which is a whole lot more resin efficient than farming for a flower, which may be better than your current one. No, focus more on talents, and when you get your talents to an appropriate level, I'd say the bare minimum level for talents is level 6, but I would advise getting them to at least 8. And on DPSs and characters you use a lot and powerful ones, I would really recommend crowning. A lot of people have got like so much crown sitting around, me included. I have so much crown sitting around that I do need to use, purely because leveling up talents is very, very important and very, very useful.
Pepper yucky. Ice cream yum.
I won't pull out the MS Paint on you, don't worry about it. But now that you've upgraded your talents and your character and your weapon levels, you can now move on to the artifact guide, lads. I'm going to start with an extremely weird point, and I'm going to say signature artifact sets don't matter as much as you think. People think you have to farm the dedicated set for every single character, and that is the most untrue thing that you can ever say about artifact farming. Obviously having a set does matter, because the passive from those sets can and are huge for a lot of characters, but the signature set sometimes is not that important. This also ties into resin efficiency, where sometimes when you farm an artifact set, those sets are only good for like 1 or 2, maybe 3 characters, and that really is not good enough when you're trying to farm and save resin efficiently. Now, most of these signature sets only have around a 10% increase in damage, and sacrificing already good artifacts and an already good set for the signature set is not a worthwhile choice at all. Let's say for example you're farming Navia. Navia's signature set is also like a 10-15% damage bonus compared to like the next best ones, but that domain is also with another artifact set which is only useful on about I think 2 characters, and that is Chevreuse and Janyan. And if you're looking to do the most damage possible with the most efficient teams possible, you probably won't be using those characters. My point is that better artifact sets aren't always better for you personally. I really only recommend farming for signature sets like this if your whole team and account is thriving, basically, where you don't need to build other characters alongside of the one you're building because you only need to build one character. And if that's not your case, then you should probably think about farming something more resin efficient. You don't know how many times I've seen people use Bennett and Neuvillette together in the same team. They do not synergize at all. And you might be thinking, why? Bennett buffs. When you're looking at characters, you need to look at precisely what they do and how they deal their damage. And that you do that to check how to build them, obviously. Now, Neuvillette does most of his damage via max HP, which Bennett does not buff in the slightest. Bennett buffs attack exclusively. He does not help Neuvillette. Neuvillette does not help him. They do not work together on a team. Please stop using them together. My point with this part of the video is you have to make sure that the team you're using is actually working. The simplest way to go around this is just to look up the best teams for characters and look up the character, go in the character talents menu and do your own research and see, does this character actually work with my other character? You do need to look at these also to know how to build them, but since Genshin character like descriptions can throw off what they're really used for, I do understand that. So the best course of advice is just to go online, look up the best build, look up the best team, best weapons, and just try to copy that into your account. And yeah, that's been my first video in 2 weeks, lads, so I hope you all enjoyed. Please subscribe and check out my accounts. I do have a TikTok account which I do post on a lot since I am an official Hoyo creator over there, lads. So please go over there and support me if you do want to indeed. And support me here as well. Comment down below. I don't know, comment the colour of your socks.